on this video, we're going to be talking about a super hot topic, which is that of NAD. So NAD stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which is a big bunch of words and letters that basically is the name of something called a coenzyme. So technically it's not a vitamin or an amino acid. They call it a coenzyme because it's involved in a lot of steps in the body, and it's found in every cell in your body, involved in energy production. So it's part of the very complex Krebs cycle, which is a cycle found inside the mitochondria that takes oxygen from the air we breathe and electrons from the food we eat or the earth, goes through this complex set of steps that has many names, but one of which is the Krebs cycle, and spits out the energy molecule ATP. So ATP is what fuels our cells, and NAD is involved in this process. So it's essential for everything from giving us energy, as I said, to repairing our DNA, to regulating our body's response to stress, and to so much more. So what's very exciting about this is this was not a topic. We learned about NAD years ago when I was in med school, but it wasn't anything we could intervene on. It was sort of something you learned in the classroom, and you memorized it for the test, and that was it. It was gone because there was no practical clinical use, so no reason to understand it. But now, let's say over the past 5 to 10 years, we now understand way more about how it works and what happens when it declines. So NAD, like many things in the body, the levels will naturally go down as we age. So what happens is this could be one of the big causes of a slowed down metabolism and weight gain, of fatigue, of brain fog, of weakening in the muscles, and more. And what happens is that we see that these symptoms that I just explained are things that we see when our mitochondria are not working very well. So our mitochondria are most concentrated in the parts of the body that require the most energy. So that's why we can see declining exercise capacity, because obviously our muscles require energy. We can see things like shortness of breath and fatigue because our heart requires the most energy. So we'll see those types of symptoms. And then our brain utilizes up to 20% of our daily energy capacity, and that leads to brain fog when we don't have enough mitochondrial function, which can be directly related to a decline in NAD. So we have the capacity to support this coenzyme in a lot of different ways. And when we do, we can see benefits like, again, energy levels, mental clarity, focus, even mood. So it can be a game changer for many, many people to support NAD levels. There are ways to support it, and lots of different ways at this point that I'll tell you about towards the end of the video. But what I really wanted you to understand is that in addition to the actual energy we can see, there are other great things associated with increasing NAD levels. So as we increase them, we now also know that they activate sirtuins, which are involved in longevity. So upping NAD will increase our lifespan. And when we talk about lifespan, I like to clarify health span versus lifespan. So health span is how many years you're actually feeling really good and functioning and enjoying life, versus lifespan could mean, you could still be declining. We don't want that. So you can enhance both health span and lifespan with NAD. Now, that piece of the sirtuin activation is amazing. Obviously, the improvement in your symptoms is the most immediate, which is why you're going to want to try this in terms of looking at these common symptoms I see day in and day out of my practice, of especially brain fog, fatigue, exercise tolerance. And by the way, this is something I see in many patients who are also coming to me more for performance. So I have a couple of different types of patients that seek me out. It may be the patient, you may be the kind of patient who's just starting out on your journey in functional medicine, longevity, mitochondrial health. And obviously in those types of patients, NAD may be able to help, but sometimes in those patients, they spend a lot of money on NAD products, trying different support for the NAD. And the truth is, it's not going to work because there's too many other things layering on top that need to be fixed first. What do I mean? I mean, if you have leaky gut, if you have chronic mold exposure or other chronic infections or a persistent spike protein or Epstein-Barr or toxic load that's really, really high, you are causing inflammation, killing off mitochondria, and having too many issues where the NAD, in some cases, can even make you feel worse because it's sort of pushing these metabolic processes, but there's junk all around them. That's just the simplified way to explain it. So you may want to make sure before you invest in replacing NAD in high levels, see if it seems to help. We don't really have a great way to test this yet. There are ways to test NAD levels, but to test whether or not replacing it is going to give you an obvious improvement is a little trickier. Most people are on the lower side when they test NAD. So you could try to take some replacement. If you don't notice an improvement, I wouldn't push it. Instead, I would step back and go into these things I just listed, right? So work on, again, detoxing, healing your gut, working on infections, seek a functional medicine practitioner that can walk you through the journey. That's sort of what I describe as both the reclamation and healing phase that I work on with patients. You may or may not see improvement with NAD. Definitely if you're more of a performance-based person who you feel pretty good most of the time, but you're trying to get to the next level, or you're trying to slow aging, which is always our goal, or not slow aging, but age more gracefully, and where we can literally age by going a day older chronologically, but our biological age can reverse. NAD can fit in beautifully there. So what you can do is try it, and there are many ways to replace it. So I describe it as the nutrient supplementation first. So there are various precursors to NAD, like NR, which is nicotinamide riboside. You can get that in a vitamin form, or even niacin indirectly can form into NAD. Niacin can make you flush. Typically NR is better tolerated, or there's NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide. That one, probably the best of the precursors that I have found, and there are brands that we can list below. My favorite that has a blend of these, and many times your body will just take those precursors and go ahead and make NAD. There also are direct NAD supplements. There are everything from patches through the skin to troches that can go under your tongue or in the side of your cheek, to injectable subcutaneous shots of NAD, to IVs. And when you bring that NAD directly in, it will last for a short period of time, do its work, clean things up, and you should see an improvement in how you feel. So how long you need to take support of your NAD, if you're somebody who is really excited about this, you probably should look into testing NAD levels, take support, and then retest. And when you hit a level, you shouldn't need to stay on very high levels of support, but potentially at least those precursors are a good idea long term, because we're constantly being hit by environmental toxins, by infectious agents, by whatever they're spraying in the sky, all the different things that are happening. So you probably should take some type of support indefinitely to enhance performance and to work on those sirtuins and helping with longevity. So that would be my advice, would be trial and error at the beginning. If it doesn't seem to be helping, dig into these other healing aspects. If you notice a little improvement, try various types of replacement. And then you could, if you're trying to decide if you should stay on it, you probably should consider checking levels at the beginning, maybe give it 3 months, 6 months, or a year, and then retest, because these replacement therapies can be expensive. So And by the way, the IV therapies, not only are they expensive, but they can have a lot of symptoms, especially they have to drip very slowly. Sometimes patients will feel really bad, a lot of nausea and other symptoms while it's going in. So it's not all just easy to replace. And I do find in the world of biohacking and performance that I describe it as throwing spaghetti at the wall. Many times people are just so excited that they want to take everything without regards to where their particular body may be. So honoring your journey, I can ask you that. This is about sovereign medicine. This is about every human is on their own individual journey. You have your own mix of toxins, your own mix of genetics, your own mix of prior antibiotic usage, or your own mix of life stressors. So where you are versus your partner, your boss, your colleague, your sister, that is going to be a very different place. So instead of just throwing all the spaghetti at the wall, pay attention. If you've tried NAD and you think it may have made you feel worse, or it definitely didn't help, don't keep paying a fortune to utilize it. Wait, take a step back, work on detoxing your mitochondria, getting your toxins out of the body in general, work on infections and healing your gut and getting stressors out of your life. If you find NAD to be super helpful, and again, you may want to start with the precursor supplement that I mentioned. If you want to start with that, if you think it really is helping, then great. Stay on it for a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, maybe talk to your practitioner, get your levels checked, and decide if that's something that's going to be good to take as a baseline for you. And that very well may be the case. So I hope that this video was helpful. I do find NAD to be fascinating in all things about the mitochondria, to be the most cutting edge. I believe that there is an entire energetic side to the mitochondria that NAD is somewhat involved in, where things like methylene blue are also helpful, and that we are just starting to understand performance-based through the energetic components of the mitochondria as well. So stay tuned for that, because between light receptors and sound and frequency healing, I think a lot of those therapies are going to be as effective, if not even more, as we come to understand them in the next 5 to 10 years, just like we have come to understand NAD. You guys take care. Thank you for joining me as you reclaim, you heal, you perform, and you transcend. Have a wonderful rest of your day.